Hey everybody, welcome to Activity 3.1. I hope you had a great long weekend. I hope you were able to take Monday, Labor Day off and just spend some good time with your family. Today's lesson or today's activity is going to continue on our email unit. And if you remember the last activity of last week, your job was to write a terrible email and post it as a note in Seesaw. Today, what I want you to do is get a chance to take a look at somebody else's terrible email and compare their email to the rubric and see if you can tell what mistakes they were trying to make. So let's get started. The first thing I'd like you to do here, of course, watch this video. Number two, it says open the email writing rubric in the materials section as a tool to use in step number 3. So I'm just going to put my mouse here and click on this, and it'll just open up in a new tab. If it's a little bit too small, you can always zoom it in here. And here is the rubric, the list of expectations that we have for writing an email. And I'm just going to keep this open. But remember in the assignment last week, the terrible email assignment, I asked you to choose at least 5 different checkpoints here to leave out of your email. And so what you're going to do is go into Seesaw and look at somebody else's, and you're going to use this rubric and try and see if you can tell which ones of these the person was trying to leave out. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this open in a tab. I'm going to go back here to our class website. And the next thing it says is open Seesaw and go to your writing group's blog, where you should see each group member's terrible email from last week. So let's go down and do that. If you go down here into the apps used, you see a link to Seesaw. And I will have to sign in with Google. And I'm going to sign in as the student, generic student account. And it might take you to another class. So remember, just go up here, click on your name, and then find your communications group. All right, so here I am. And then over here, we're going to be today visiting the blog side, which is the side that everybody can see. So I'm going to go over here to blog. And we can see some different stuff here, but I'm going to go down, and you can see right here, this is an example terrible email that this student, I actually wrote it, but that this student wrote. Now for you'll see a whole bunch of people's. You'll see 4 or 5 example terrible emails. The most recent posts are at the top, so you should just be looking at like the most recent 3 or 4. Now here's what I want you to do next. I want you to look over the different terrible emails from your other group members. And I'd like you to choose one of them to reply to. And then we're going to reply by clicking this little comment button down at the bottom of their post. And I'd like you to choose a person who does not have any comments yet. So it should work out if there are 4 of you and you each reply to one person, and each person replies to somebody that doesn't have a comment yet. Everybody should end up with one person commenting on theirs. And so what I want you to do is look at their terrible email. And remember, you have in your other tab over here, you have this rubric. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to guess which of these check boxes they were trying to mess up on, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to hit comment. And in my comment, I'm going to write my guess. Okay. So I'm going to go over here to the rubric, and includes a clear direct subject line. This just says missing assignment. It doesn't say what the name of the assignment is. So I think that the person who wrote this terrible email was trying to make a bad subject line. So I'm going to write, you do not have a clear direct subject line. Okay? I'm going to go to the next check box. Begins with a professional greeting. Well, this just says, Nelson, I am missing assignments. There's no like, dear Mr. Nielsen or hello, Mr. Nielsen. So I think that this person also was trying to mess up on this one too. You also are missing a greeting. Okay. Next one includes a signature block with a closing and a name. So let me check and see if they had that. Nope, there's no closing at all. You are also missing a signature block and name. I've already found 3 of the things that this email is missing. Avoids using too many exclamation points or all caps. I don't see any exclamation points in here, and I also don't see any places where they wrote in all caps. In fact, it actually looks like there are some places where they should have capitalized letters like the I that they didn't. So this one was not one of the errors that they were making. Avoids using sarcasm or emojis. It doesn't look like they are using sarcasm or emojis, so that's not one of them either. The email is clear, specific, and concise. It says, Nielsen, I am missing assignments in RenWeb, but I turned them in this morning. It's sort of clear. I mean, the subject, the thing that the student wants is pretty clear, but it's not very specific in terms of assignments. It just says assignments. It doesn't say like, I'm missing article of the week number 1. It just says assignments. And so I would say also the email is not very specific. So I found 4 things now that this email is missing. Avoids angry tone, blaming, or excuses. One thing I noticed on this email is it says, I turned them in this morning, so what is taking you so long to get them graded? To me, it might not be angry exactly, but it sounds impatient. And so I would say that that's one too. So also it is written with an impatient tone. The next one says written in a high register, like as if you're talking to a boss rather than a friend. And I would say that this isn't necessarily written in a very high register. For one thing, the person just called the teacher Nelson. They didn't say Mr. And Nelson is pretty informal, right? So I would say, going over to here to the end, also it is not written in a very high register. That's 6 things that I found so far. Includes a compliment or note of thanks. It doesn't actually ever do that. It doesn't ever have a compliment. Also, it is missing a compliment or note of thanks. And recipient's name is spelled correctly. It's actually not. That's not how you spell Mr. Nielsen. Uses correct capitalization, uses correct punctuation. It does have punctuation, but it's both of these two are not. So I'm going to go over here and also, I keep on starting every sentence with also, but that's okay for this particular activity. Mr. Nielsen's name is not spelled correctly. And finally, there are many words that need to be capitalized. Like, for example, all of these places where it says I, those need to be capitalized. Also, what is taking you so long to get them graded, period. The beginning of this next sentence should be capitalized as well. So I think that I've gone through and I think I've found all of the different errors that this terrible email was making. And so again, what I want you to do is you're listing all of the errors from the rubric that you think this person was trying to make. It should be at least 5, but it might be more than 5. Because remember, I had said on the last activity, at least 5. So try and find them all. See if you can find. I wonder if any person wrote an email that did none of the things that are under the rubric. Anyways, and then once you've done that, hit post and you'll see your comment pop up. And you can see all of the different things that you're guessing this person, all of the mistakes you're guessing they were trying to make. A little later on, if you want to, you can come back and check and see if somebody has commented on your email and see if they got it right and if they caught all of the errors that you had made in your terrible email. So that's it. The only thing you're really turning into me today is you're going into Seesaw, into the blog, and you're just making one comment on one person's email. And that's it. You're done for the day. Have a great one, you guys. Thanks.